Hello everyone, so just got done tying up 20 of these guys. This is actually the last one for a fly swap, and this is probably my favorite, most productive nymph for euronymphing that I've been using. It's the Tasmanian Devil, and this is how we're going to tie it. So there's a look at the finished fly. Let's get started. So this is a size 14 450 BL trophy hook with a 3.5 mil soft pink bead. And for thread, I'm using some UTC in gray brown, but it doesn't really matter, any kind of tan or even light green. It blends in pretty good. So first thing, thread base all the way down to where it starts to bend. So for the hot spot, I'm using Uni Hot Red. It's actually pretty orange. I have a chunk of that. So I just double it over on a 14 or a 12. On a 16, I'll just use one strand. So right on top of the shank, and I'll take it all the way forward, actually run it into the slot on the bead. So next, wire rib. This is UTC copper wire, size small. And I tie it on the far side of the shank. Okay, now for dubbing, any hare's ear that you like is fine. This is what I like using. Try to get that in focus. Just the Wapsi rabbit, and this one is just natural hare. So I like to keep the body super thin. Same with the dubbing noodle. I'd rather do 2 or 3 wraps than try to get it all in one go with a super thick dubbing noodle. So I find keeping these tight and thin, they actually sink pretty well. I almost never add any lead, and they work out for me. Mind you, we only use one fly, and I tend to oversize my beads. Okay, so I got just a slight taper there. Now I'm going to wind the rib. I don't think the number of turns matters, I just like to get them pretty even. And then I'm going to tie this off tight to the bead. And this is where I will trim the tail. So I like to go just shy of the back of the hook. So next thing, I'm going to flatten my thread out. So I like to put a dubbing loop of CDC. So I use these Stonfo clips. I think this is a medium size, but until it's almost a whole clip worth of CDC. It depends on how dense the fibers are in the feather, but usually it's 3/4 to a whole. And on a 16, I'll use about a half. So I'm just going to split my thread here. So with some of the longer CDC fibers, they're going to get spun up. I'll just take a second to pull out any loops that formed. Kind of free these up. I mean, when they wrap, they kind of trap each other a little bit too, so don't fuss too much. Now I just preen them back. And I like to rip them more or less the length of the tail. Okay, last step, a little UV peacock ice dub. So a lot of the collars I see online are a little bit fluffy for me. I like again, tight and thin, so I'm not exaggerating, like maybe 5-6 individual pieces of ice dub. And it makes just a nice little spot behind the bead. Now I'm just going to whip finish. And that's it. So again, Tasmanian Devil, size 14, 400 BL trophy with a 3.5 mil soft pink bead.